Hey everybody, and welcome to yet another special edition of Now Playing, where we continue to look at the big games of 2011. Today, we're in Austin, Texas at SOE, Sony Online Entertainment, for those of you that don't know. And I'm sitting here with Chris Kao, Game Director here at SOE, and we're about to check out your baby for...
That's right.
For quite a while now.
That's right. 5 years, DC Universe Online. It's coming out, and you'll be able to step into that universe, make your own hero or villain, and get to it.
All right, now before we dive right into the very large adventure that's awaiting us, I want to let you know that this Now Playing is going to be pretty special because we're going to be doing kind of two-in-one. We're going to be doing a hero and a villain at the same time. Helping us out off camera, who you'll be hearing very shortly as we talk to him, it's going to be John Blakely, who's executive producer on the game. So let's go make some stuff.
Let's do it. Let's play.
Yeah.
Some on your own side.
Cyborg, concentrate fire on Luthor while I call down some artillery.
Deathstroke, time for you to join the party.
Lots of murdering to do.
Lose something?
Greetings, sister.
What's this? Nobody kills the Bat but me!
Call him! Bring him to me!
Yes.
Batman! Adam! You don't deserve to live! Diana. Beaten by a mere man. No. You've lost everything. No. I beat you. Me! Lex Luthor!
Brainiac had returned.
For years, he'd been stealing the powers of Earth's protectors, but we were too busy fighting amongst ourselves to see the danger. With you three dead, Brainiac quickly eliminated the remaining heroes. The lucky ones died fighting. Finally, I alone survived. A rat in the walls of the Brainiac construct. I have traveled through time to warn you. This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together, we must change it.
What have you done, Luthor?
Given you a fighting chance.
He's lying. It's some kind of trap. Why should we trust you?
Because if you don't, Earth is doomed. I've stolen Brainiac's exobytes and released them into Earth's atmosphere. They hold the powers stolen from the heroes and villains of my time, and will bestow them on anyone they contact. The exobytes will create a new breed of superhuman to fight Brainiac's invasion. You must teach them to use their new abilities, for they must be on the front line in the coming battle, or my grim future will become your own. I only hope I am not too late, for I will not be here to see this new future. My work is not yet done. I must leave this Earth to you. Claim the exobytes and take destiny into your own hands.
Targets identified.
All right, so what we just got to check out was basically an extended version of the intro trailer.
That's right.
That we've all seen. And now it kind of explains how everybody has superpowers.
That's right. I mean, the exobytes were brought back to fight Brainiac with his own technology. And they have all of the powers of the future heroes and villains. And so Character Create is actually you choosing which of those powers, which of those skills you want to invest in yourself as a common man now turned into a hero or villain.
All right, and so this is, because you guys basically have gone from the cinematic right into the character creation as part of your storytelling. So talk to us about what you're doing. So on over here, we've got somebody making a hero, and then we've also got villains. So walk us through this process of character creation. So we've seen that you can select male or female, builds.
Yeah, so right here I'm in the Inspired By menu. So if there's a character that you're fond of in the DC universe, you can use it as a starting point. So, or you can just take it right as a template. So, like, say that I'm a Batman fan, so it's like, all right, I want to be like Batman. There's, it's kind of taking the exobyte, the information from the exobytes, because it's not a perfect science. This is inspired by. These are powers that are taken from these heroes. They're brought back. And so, you can't exactly make those things, but you can make something close. And so I can either start with that, like if I select Batman here, I can say, you know what, I'm going to take it as is, which is, my template's Batman, I'm a male, a medium build, hero, I'm a serious personality, my mentor, who the person is going to be bringing me up and helping me, understand and use my powers is going to be Batman. My power type is going to be gadgets, and my weapon is going to be martial arts. And my movement's going to be acrobatics, swinging, slinging, zip lines. It's a lot of fun. So,
and we'll walk you through each of those choices here. As you can see, what I'm going through, there's Mr. Freeze, there's Beast Boy, there's Green Arrow, Steel. Right, so there's a large variety of those sort of inspired bys that you can go off of. But when you choose one of those characters, then there's a lot, you can also go with the custom route. And the custom route is really you starting off who you want to be. Right?
Yeah, so if I don't like the personality that I have here, then I can pick and choose a different one. If I want to make a more powerful personality for Batman, or go for a more primal look, and kind of let my story of my character in this world kind of evolve based on that template, I can. Or like Chris said, you can just start from scratch from the basics.
Yeah, and let's use the custom side to sort of walk through all those options so that you can see what goes here. So hero or villain. Obviously the main choice, what side are you fighting for, and each choice is actually going to have its entire own storyline. So John's going to be a hero, I'm going to be a villain. Now, he had already talked about personality here. It's also the emotes. It doesn't really have anything to do with your game prowess, but it does have a lot to do with who you are in the world. So obviously I'm going to choose flirty here, a little bit of Jersey Shore going on. John, what did you choose?
That does remind me of the Jersey Shore thing. You like
Thank you. So what personality are you going to choose?
I'm going to go with the serious one, because
you're an executive. You're right. So exactly, I can see that. Exactly. There you go. So once we go to the mentor, and this is also another important story choice. This is the character from the DC comics that's going to guide you through your story, right? So we have on my side with the villains, we have the Joker, Lex Luthor, and Cersei. each one of those represents a different story, sort of sub-theme within the game. John, what do you have on the hero side?
We got Batman, who's your kind of your tech villain, tech hero, villain in some cases, I guess, depending on how you look at it. We got Superman and we got Wonder Woman.
Right. So each of these also tie into sort of one of the main origin stories of the game. Batman and Joker are two sides of the same coin of technology. Batman's about order, Joker's about chaos. Superman is about selflessness, whereas Lex Luthor's about selfishness, and Wonder Woman's about truth, and Cersei's about lies. And each of those are sort of the types of heroes. So John's going to choose Batman, I'm going to choose the Joker. Now we go to the power types. I see you're already messing around there, John. What types of powers do we have?
Well, we got several of them. We got fire, and so this is more of a, this gives you kind of a tanking ability. You know, it's kind of a, it's all about fire, about lighting things on fire.
Right, so each of there's 6 major sort of power types, but each one has 2 different skill trees in it. So there's dozens and dozens of powers per type, and then there's different roles that tie into each of these. So fire is a tanking class, as John said.
Yeah, just as a controller class.
Yeah, just
so
a
basically
controller.
control, lock down enemies, stun them, you know, make sure that you only are fighting the ones that you want to fight at a given time.
Ice is another tanking class, but tanks differently. You ice up as you get more of the ice.
Now in PvP, Chris is very much likes the mental ability because
That's
why,
right.
Chris? Why is that?
Well, there's an entire form of stealth here that's based on disguise, so you turn into a normal-looking civilian, and they can't actually tell you're on the wrong side.
Exactly.
And then you go up and you smack them.
And Chris gets a lot of entertainment out of that.
That's right, I do. There's nature, one of our healing classes, and in this form, this is a good example of the 2 trees. There's plants, which is a lot of poison ivy themed powers, and then there's shape changing, which is more like Beast Boy. So even within nature, there's a huge variety of superpowers.
And the other healing role or other healing power type is sorcery, and so that's magic based and lots of different, again, 2 different types of paths you can journey on there, and lots of different abilities. You can summon things to help you fight.
Yeah, you summon different types of pets from different planes. So I'm going to choose mental.
All right, that's not a surprise.
I know.
I'm going to go with fire.
All right.
Because, I like fire.
So the next choice is how you want to move. Do you want to fly? Do you want to be an acrobat? Or do you want to super speed? Now, these are not just ways to get from point A to point B. There are special attacks, abilities, and skills tied into all of these, and not just a travel mode. So you want to use these as part of your combat. I'm going to choose acrobatics because, oh no, wait, you want to choose acrobatics, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, he wants to choose acrobatics. I'll choose super speed then.
We can be like the twins.
So since I'm a villain and a bad guy, I'll choose something different, and I'll be super speed. All right, the next choice that comes up is weapon. This is your combos. Remember, DC Universe Online is an action game, right? This is all about combos. So whether you're using a controller like John or the mouse and keyboard like myself, the different clicks or button pushes actually do a lot to the type of combat.
This is where a lot of the skill. I mean, you get your basic stuff, and each one of these weapons, it's a different type of play. I mean, brawling is a little slower. You got, martial arts is a little bit faster, kind of that. You got dual pistol, it's more of a range type attack. But it's also about, how you execute those combos, how you set them up, how you lock those guys down. So you can, we can both pick the same thing, but have very different play experiences because Chris is way better than I am. Well, at least that's what he likes to tell everybody.
Well, we'll see. We'll take it to PvP. The other thing to note about the weapons real quick is that you can get more than one weapon and unlock them in the game. You can only get one power, but you can choose many different kinds of weapons.
Now, how did you settle on this selection of weapons? Because obviously, since you've got the entire DC universe to draw on, if you know the comics, this is just a minor selection of the stuff that gets used out there in the universe. So how did you guys kind of settle on these as like the main, I guess, the archetypal ones to kind of build off of?
Well, as with many of the decisions we made with the game, when you have a universe, you have to choose the best and most fun parts of that universe to expose because we can't build it all in every single detail, right? We have to build what's going to be the most fun. And we actually tried a lot of other types of weapons, and these 9 weapons turned out to be the most fun from a combo and a multiplayer perspective where you're working with other players and against other players. Some of the others we tried didn't work as well, but that doesn't mean we won't go back and visit them again. So it's really what's fun, and we happen to prove through play and find that these were really good. So
I really feel like on the team that better is better, and not more is better. And so we wanted to make sure that when we did deliver those things, it was a great experience for the ones that we have out here at launch, and that people were going to engage it and just have fun. We really want to make sure that this game is fun moment to moment and through the whole entire experience.
now, you can spend a lot of time in character create, but you can also do costume, which is part of this. And we'll just go over a few of the options here. I'll switch to the body and to the skin and show you some of the different types of skins that you can choose. Literally making a hero or villain from the skin up gives you a different basic look, and of course, you can change how all of the different parts get to come together. John will be doing his own thing over there, working on different types of skin.
Yeah,
John, why don't you show off some of the hair as well?
I'll do the hair, all right. Got a lot of them. We have a lot of different hairstyles for people to take a look at here, so, you know. sporting the old school, go a little.
It's very Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, yes, it is. a lot of good hairstyles. People can hopefully pick and choose, the kind of character that they want to be or fun they like. And obviously throughout gameplay, you can actually pick up and change some of these different things. I think specifically like hair, you can actually go ahead and swap them.
Yeah, and actually you can actually from various hairstylists in the game buy more hair and switch it out. So you're not locked into one look. Remember, this is just the start of your journey.
Yes.
There's a huge number of appearances to collect in-game, far more that are in Character Create. So as you go and battle opponents, you do various missions, you go and find and discover things, you run races, you get all sorts of more appearance rewards. So Character Create doesn't stop in DC Universe Online, you just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's very important because it not only tells your story, but you can go, you can collect all these different things. I'm a completionist, so I'm enjoying playing the game right now, finding all the little nooks and crannies, and playing the content, and trying to gain all these different styles. Because basically, you have like a giant closet, and you can put all these different things in your closet and keep them so that you can switch them back and forth. If I feel like looking like this particular type of character or switching up my gear for a particular mood or particular event or whatever, then I can do that. Still maintaining though the best stat equipped gear that I have, and switching and swapping what I look like. It's very important in this game to actually be able to do that.
Now, of course, once you've chosen the hair, you got to choose your mask or your helmet. Some of the most important choices about your character and who they're going to be.
I'm going to go with the editor-in-chief in honor of. There you go.
Fantastic.
We'll go with the El Capitan.
And so all sorts of styles there. So I've just shown a few of the different types of helmet styles that you can do. You can go, of course, to the shirts, which is anything that's going to be on your upper body. And we're just trying to give you guys a sampling because there's far too many options here to actually go through them all.
You could spend all day just going and messing around with it. And again, like Chris said, this is the start. There's going to be thousands of other pieces you can find in the world and put on your character, and you can have access to those at any time through your style tab.
Now, of course, one of the questions you're going to get asked is, what about capes? Well, you can start right off in our game and get different types of back items. Backpacks, back capes, different types of capes with different edging, different styles to them. A quiver if you want to be an archer. All sorts of different things that you can do here. They give you that style. But again, just the start of it. The wings do animate as you fly and you move around the world, right? So all different sorts of styles that go on. And let's see if again, you can also do the colors of your costume. Now, both of our characters have sort of the Batman theme going, but the colors here actually all tie together. So as you're changing the colors, it's unified across the entire palette. So you can see here, as I choose different types and different sizes of colors, the theme carries through the entire suit.
Yeah, which is really a lot of fun because you can, again, make tons of different characters and just kind of reflect, what you want to be and how you want to be represented in the world.
Mm-hmm. So again, we don't want to get too stomped down on all these choices, but I think I've got a guy who's looking good here.
You know me, I like to fiddle.
You like to get it all the way going? So.
Yeah, let's see, let's go. Yeah, there we go. On fire, so I'm a little red in there. There we go.
And then one thing to kind of point out is the colors that you're setting apply to the gear that you pick up, so you'll always kind of maintain this color scheme, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to be identified by your look and how your outfit is. So you get control of that. So when you equip a piece of gear, even if you keep that appearance, those colors, basically integrated into your suit.
The big thing here is that in game we have something we call the style tab, and in our game, any new piece of loot you get, you collect the style for. So you can have the stats, helping yourself out, and the styles look however you want. So the sort of form and function are split, so you can change the color of your gear as well as all the different styles continuously through in the game. All right, John, are you ready? Because come on.
I could do this forever.
I know. Well, let's get into the game and show them some of
right.
the actual gameplay.
Excellent.
Nice helmet choice with the mustache.
Like
I'm liking that.
I'm colorblind. All right, so let's see. So what I did, I took that Batman build. I made it my own. I picked fire. Picked a different personality. I'm still mentoring by Batman. Still going to be acrobat, but change the weapon and change the power. Now I'm ready to go and enter my name.
And the other thing I guess I want to kind of focus on is, so this is still very integrated to the cinematic. So
Yes.
this opening is basically taking place on Brainiac's ship, which you can kind of tell because the way the interface is.
Yeah, it's a good point, yeah.
It looks very much like you're on the ship. So set this up as you guys are about to dive in the world. So you've just made your character. We saw the intro cinematic. What's happening?
Right, so from the intro cinematic, you've been invested by the exobytes, right? They were released in the atmosphere, they've descended down, and you're sort of operating from the exobyte perspective and investing those powers in that character. Now, we're actually going to go into the game itself. Brainiac has collected up everyone who's been infected and is trying to take back the exabytes, and you're actually escaping from him and his powers. So here you can see me with my Jersey Shore attitude. I've just busted out of the pod behind me, and here's my first moments in the game. I'm ready to get into it. This is a tutorial, but it's also the start of your story.
We've got a live one.
When I'm playing on beta here, there's a lot of people playing already, so
Calculator.
there's,
I'm going to
I gotta
try
pick
to
my
get
name.
you
I'm
off
gonna
this
pick a
ship
very
alive.
different name than I picked there.
First priority, look for a door or something similar.
And so, since Chris, you started as a villain, we just saw a head pop up, and I believe that's the calculator?
Yeah, so there's two characters that are sort of your distributor, right? They'll tell you all about it as a dispatch. They'll say, hey, here's what's going on. Calculator is for villains, and Oracle is for heroes. And each of those characters are going to be sort of your touchstone if you need to find out information or see what's going on in the game. So here I have my character Mind Trick. I've just escaped. You can see from above all the various Brainiac pods still in residence, other exabyte infected characters, but I'm going to go ahead and try to escape. Calculator told me to try to get out, so there's a door.
And then to Chris's calculator counterpart, we have Oracle here, kind of directing and dispatching us on the hero side. She's hacked in. She's like, all right, let's got to get out of here. Let's get going. And then again, very similar mission in here, because we're still in the same ship trying to escape. And now I've got to go in here, follow the instructions, and get my way out. And of course, it's never easy for the hero or the villain. We've got to fight.
But one thing to point out is this experience, at least the first couple minutes of it, the tutorial essentially, is pretty much the same for whatever faction you're in, with the exception of who's talking to you, right?
Right, so basically it's that, and then at the end, there's a surprise guest appearance as you're actually cracked out of the ship by either Lex Luthor or Superman, depending on it. So everybody got infected by Brainiac's exabytes. Now it's up to the story itself to get different from this point forward. So I've chosen dual wield. It looks like John did as well. So we have the same weapon choice, but we have different power and movement choices.
Yeah, that'll give you an idea of how things can play differently with all those different combinations. And there are literally thousands of different combinations you can play, and a lot of them play very, very different than each of the others.
So here, right at level 1, we did introduce a first boss fight, because remember, this is an action game, so this is about a lot of blocking, dodging, rolling out of the way. You have ranged and melee attacks on all characters. As you can see, he's setting up his tail. I got to dodge out of the way and then get in there and chop him down. Now, of course, it is the tutorial, so we make it a little easier for you to get in, but this is definitely not normal MMO turn-based combat. This is action game combat, and it's done in a multiplayer setting.
I should point out for the folks at home, you guys have actually split up how you're playing. So Chris, you're on keyboard, but over here we've got a PS3 controller, and you can kind of tell from the interfaces on the screen. Seems like it's not that big of a deal to use either interface.
No, we play them all the time on both, and we don't limit you. I mean, if you want to play on a PC with a controller, you can do that, and vice versa. And so it basically, it plays really well on both. And so it's whatever, again, it's again giving you the choices and those preferences. But yeah, the interface will detect which one you're actively playing on and switch back and forth. So if I were to sit here and play on the controller, went to a little cutscene real quick. So if you look at it, it'll switch back and forth.
Yeah, and so I'm just a little bit ahead of John here, and it's teaching me about my movement mode. So if I go into super speed move, you can see the speed force has sort of gathered around me, and now I can run up and over any surface. So I'll be able to run straight up the wall and fly into the transport tube here.
Of course, with the speedster, you got to keep the momentum up. You got to keep going, and you get different things. But for me, I can grab and stick, and then I can glide and stick to the walls. Because I'm the acrobat type. So I'm going to get up to the same area again through different means. And one of the nice things is the freedom like this to move in an MMO. It makes it tremendously fun. In fact, funny, early in focus groups, we're watching people, and they were like, "I don't see how to get up there." And it's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well, I got my movement power. I'm running around, but I can't get up there." It's like, "Try to run up the wall," and they go, "Wow!" And then that first interaction. I mean, we kind of had the same reaction when we first got into super speed and
sort of embracing that impossibility. You're not used to being able to run up and over everything, right? To stick to things, to have the powers that we do here.
And right from the start, you get that.
So I have fought into another room. I'm going to actually bring up my abilities here, and I'm going to choose one of my new abilities. Now, there's different trees, as you can see here. I have illusions, and I have telekinesis, as well as iconic powers. The iconic powers are things like heat vision, super strength, and are actually drawn inspiration directly from the DC characters. However, it being an MMO, there's no way to pause it, so I'm going to go into illusions. I'm going to choose my psychic blades real quick so I don't die to these robots who are out there. So you're finding your way through the Brainiac corridors, obviously watching, because the invasion force, Brainiac, remember, he's the ultimate menace. If you don't stop him with your new powers, that alternate future that you saw in the cinematic is going to happen. So as heroes and villains, it's up to you to fight against him, and in some cases, work together to stop him.
And what's great is as I'm pushing the button, I'm doing an action. So you can see that as I'm pushing, even though I have a very limited combo set to start with, I can do, several chain together moves to make myself not only look cool, but take on multiple enemies at the same time. I can also set them up and use my energy to basically, use my powers and light them on fire. And so as I go in and attack these guys, I'm gaining those energy, and then I use it to dispense them in a very heroic way.
Now, one of the really cool things about our game is that there's power interactions where players can use other players' powers to their own advantage. So John, being a fire character, when he sets things on fire, he can manipulate that fire. So I have an ability that makes people think that they're set on fire, illusionary fire, and actually he can take advantage of that illusionary fire and control it just like he would control his own fire powers. And that happens with ice and poison and other major types of damage.
Fire. Sorry, channeling beast.
And so as you guys are fighting your way out of the ship, a couple questions about the kind of the mentors that you guys talked about. Gotta ask, as a comic reader, kind of why Wonder Woman would be kind of positioned as a magic person. We know she's mythical, but when you think of her in the books, she's not like a Zatanna or a Dr. Fate.
Well, the big thing for this is a lot of the comic fans know the DC license really well, but a lot of people just know a few of the characters and don't understand the depth of the stories in the world that's there. So really we see it as our sort of second job, first to entertain you, second to let you know about this universe and introduce you to it. So because of that, we chose Wonder Woman because a lot of people recognize her and understand who she is, and we can use her as a great sort of gateway into the rest of the license, especially a lot of the magic, because even DC fans may not be as familiar with a lot of the depth of the sorcery and planar sort of things that go on in the DC license with magic.
And over here we're about to equip some items, so talk to us about the gear that you're going to be picking up, because obviously you got it from taking out enemies, but pretty sure you're going to be getting it from earning quests and from completing quests and whatnot.
There are a lot of different ways to get gear, from like what you said, the quests, from finishing your missions, picking up gear via drops, to earning it through different activities and actions, through trading it with other players, and so yeah, you're going to be able to do that. And so basically what I'm going to do here is I picked up a few things. I picked up Soda Cola, which is kind of a heal potion, if you will, or it's a healing mechanism in our game. I'm going to put that in my consumable slot. And it automatically knows where to put it and all that kind of stuff, and it shows me I have 2 of those there. Then I'm also picked up this plated Synthium shirt out of one of the loot chests around. And so basically it tells me right here that the style is a 4th world style. I haven't collected that style. So what's neat is even if you, maybe it's something that's a lower level item for you, if you haven't collected that style in your style tab, you can go ahead and equip that item and integrate it into your style tab, and again, not affect the stats of that item that you're using that actually gives you the better stats. So I'm going to collect this because both of these things say it would increase my defense and also give me that new style. So I'll do that, and it'll ask me, do you want to change the appearance when equipping your item? And I say yes. So let's see what that looks like. So I've got a little bit of an upgrade now to my look. I can go, wow, I really think I'm looking cooler and tougher, or like Chris said, I can go over here to my style tab and I can go back to that chest, my shirt, and I can look at it and I can go, whoops, let me go back. Let's see what's going on here. Look at my manly tattoos there. So I pick that in Character Create. And let's see, let's go in here. And so it gives me that choice. I can put that 4th world on, or I can go back to the slimline one. Or I can go with the sporting the tattoos. And so I'm going to go with that 4th world look because I kind of like it. It kind of integrates. And you notice it integrated in my colors as well. I have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary color. So I still look like me. It's just a little more tough. And then again, if I go back into my inventory, I had another item that I was going to equip before I move on. And do that as well. And there's a pair of boots. But we also have a couple different tabs here. There's your stats here, which you can look at and you'll gain. They mean different things. And you can go through and look at them, each of them, and understand those.
Right. The MMO engine is underneath all of this,
exactly,
right?
But
to give you the stats.
You can pay attention if you want to, or you can focus and it'll just tell you, hey, this is better. It's green. Go ahead and get it. And then currency, you'll earn these things over time. So I'm going to continue to go out and have some fun.
So I'm a little bit ahead of you here, John, and I'm in a sort of a trash room where Brainiac has been sucking up all of the various citizens, and that looks like their cars and junk as well. I'm in here fighting, and it shows off some of the physics that we have in the game. Because, of course, to be a superhero, you've got to be able to knock stuff around and smash it. And so we have a full-on physics simulation going in our MMO. You can literally play in Los Angeles, pick up a car, and throw it at your friend in New York. And it's all there right at the edge of your fingertips. You notice I'm getting knocked around, thrown around, things are blowing up. And this is all in pursuit of that superhero feel, that fantasy that you were the most powerful hero or villain in the DC universe.
Yeah, here I just picked up this kind of like, I'm in the same trash chute now. I just picked up one of the vending machines, and I'm going to chuck it down there and see if I can, yeah, nothing but net. There you go. All right. That's fun. That never gets old. All right, it's teaching me how to interact with objects here, which is very simple. You see the icons. What we wanted to do is make sure when you weren't playing the interface, but you were playing the game. And this very much, we wanted to engage you, make the combat feel visceral, also make sure that the things you need to know in-game are cued and messaged to you by looking at the game and not at the interface. And so that does that. So I can look at that thing and say, hey, I need to interact with it. Or if I want to walk up to it, it says, hey, I can hold this. Again, I can look, and I'm going to target those guys automatically, and then I'm going to be like, you know what, throw a big fire barrel at them and see, knock them out. And so it's teaching me here that, hey, pick up some stuff in the environment and use it to your advantage because, you know, the world is your weapon.
So I've earned the ability to get a new combo, and this is where now I get to expand my weapons. Before I choose a new power, now I'm actually going to choose a new skill. And in each of these cases, it gives me different combos. And you can notice the combos there are represented by the different mouse buttons. I'm actually going to get one of the sort of best ones that you can have in the beginning of the game, which allows you to lunge directly at guys. And instead of having to run up to them, now I can just snap immediately to them. So now I have even more power with my dual-wield attack.
All right, so let's see. Chris, can you talk a little bit about feats? I had a feat pop up a few minutes ago that says I got a 25 combo. What is that?
Sure. Feats are special sort of extra things that you can do based on what your character has done. Different combinations, different ways to defeat bad guys, all sorts of those things. And the feats actually feed into your skill points. The more feats you do, the more skill points you get, and the more weapons and movement powers you can unlock.
And also you notice that things drop out of here and basically have this like kind of little loop vacuum where I don't have to. I can either run around and it'll come to me, or I can just pull my two triggers at the bottom and it'll suck it into me and give me those rewards. And so again, as Chris did, I'm going to go in here and pick my next skill, and he picked a combo. I'm going
You want to choose the ranged one, so we can show off the difference there?
Yeah. Let's see.
That'll be the one on the left there.
Thank you, game director.
Well, I just
charge
wanted to make
double
sure.
throw. It's a hold. So down here it tells me on the controller, because I'm using that, what the actual combo were. If it were to go into the PC side, you can see it would also tell me which one to hold on the PC. So, all right, I got the ranged one. So now when I'm going to practice that real quick, I get to throw my cool swords here. Look at, check that out. See, I'm looking cool already.
Just ahead.
Level 3.
Destroy it,
I was looking
and the
cool.
blowback will disrupt the ship's shields. Then we can get on board and
Again,
shut
big
this
invasion
down.
force. And again, we wanted to make, we have this rich world, lots of stories, gorgeous art. We wanted to present that to you and really call things out and to kind of reinforce the story of what was going on and kind of set up the, set the tone for your introduction. And for other things, we'll use those kind of cinematic moments all throughout the game as well. So I'm going to pick up this thing. I'm going to, see, there's another feat. I got a barrel buster.
Now, John's in a room that's teaching you about breakout, which is one of the more important abilities you can get in the game, because anytime you're crowd controlled, stunned, knocked down, knocked back, encased, you can use your breakout ability, assuming you have power, to get out of trouble. And so it gives you a way right at your fingertips to react. So you can block, dodge, break out. Those are all universal abilities that every type of power and skill has, so that you are always having a way to actually react and get out of it. There aren't any bar-watching healers in our game. Everybody's in there punching, doing
I'm going
damage.
to use my breakout. There
and
you go.
using the power.
Breakout.
Yeah, there you
now
go.
I can go attack this thing and destroy it while it's vulnerable. There you go. So it's teaching me about that. Very important. You can tell those that use it and those that don't.
And on a PvP server, it's literally life or death.
There's also, we put like little healing barrels in the world too, so I can break those open and, whoops, I get attacked here. Create a little healing aura that I can bring those guys over here and fight into them, so that way, again, using the world to your advantage, and, wherever those are set up, they're where you need them. So you can put them wherever you want, which is nice. Charge attack here.
Now this all looks fairly smooth, fairly easy. Was it as easy to put together? Because tutorials are always a challenge, right?
Well, when
What version is this, Chris?
When we originally did the tutorial, we actually did it out in the shared world and had places that people could go to. When we were doing some testing, however, people would get lost because our cities are so immense, right? There's not, since you can run up and over everything, there's not a nice little valley to contain you. So we decided to put it in an instance so we could really focus the sort of tutorial nature of it. But we also knew we didn't want to make you play through a manual, right? We wanted you to get into the action. So that's why
the ball. See, and he picks me up as a physics object.
Nice. And that's why the story continues here. You're escaping, and this is an action tutorial. This is about teaching you about how much fun the game is, and then letting you go from there, right? This is just making sure you have the basic tools in your toolbox so that when you get out into the open world, you know what to do, where to go, and how to fight.
Oops. There we go.
So while John's having fun with that guy, I'm going to head towards the end of the tutorial here and face off.
Just having fun.
Well, you can keep doing that. It's the character create that's catching up with you. I'm going to go ahead and face deeper into the ship.
Yeah, he's fighting the boss. Getting lined up, trying to escape. I'm enjoying the Brainiac ship. And these guys have been torturing me for a long time. It's I'm just trying to go my story bit. I'm going to take it out on them one at a time and light them on fire.
So I'm at one of the sort of the center of the ship, and I've got to drop the shields.
The gun chamber. Once the gun is out and the shields drop, Lex Luthor will teleport in to help destroy the ship.
Calculators told me I got to destroy the couplings. Here they are. But I got to watch out for anybody who's going to try to jump me while I attack these couplings. And of course, the boss is in the middle of the room just waiting for me to fail.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Boss, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It doesn't work though. You're always right.
And again, now I've used all my skills. I have a power, I have a new weapon skill, I have new items, and I'm ready to take on any challenge, or at least I think I am.
We got some cool gear. See, I'm a little distracted with all the cool stuff that we're doing.
Crashing into Brainiac's bottle.
That's the way we've always played. We played games together for what, like 10 years now, and it's always been, dude, check out this. And you're like, I'm already 5 levels ahead of you.
Well, I'm an MMO player.
I know. You are.
Got a level.
You're a good one too.
Now this introduces you, like we said, almost every level in the game there's a boss fight. Early on, of course, I get a couple levels without it. But that's because in order to really make you feel like a hero or villain, you can't be just punching rats and taking their tails. You got to be in there, you know, doing something important. And here I'm taking down the Brainiac Guardian. He has special abilities, including, you can tell with the tell, he has a blink flash that if I ignore it, I'm going to get knocked back. Now, of course, I stood there for quite a while, but when you get your hands on the game for the first time, we want to make sure you have a chance to defeat him.
See, where he gets, you know, Oracle tells me now that Superman's standing by. Of course, you know, Calculator was telling him that Lex Luthor was standing by to help him out. So now I've got to break down these.
But
pieces
if I
so that
block,
so you can actually get teleported in.
then I won't be taking the effects of the actual attack, and I'll open up a window to be able to defeat the guy. Very action game sort of mechanic to the bosses.
And again, you can see I took my little consumable there, got a little heal. Nice. Alright, come on, stuff together. Alright, now. See, I'm going to do it in style. There we go. Alright. Whoa. Oh, one left. No, 2. They're like rabbits.
Pathetic machines. You there?
And over here, Chris has got himself a nice cameo.
That's right, I've let the shields down, and now Lex himself is in here. Of course, in a power suit. He's not going to be wearing business wear to come and help fight Brainiac. And so now we've got to fend these off while Calculator hacks the teleporters so that we can get out of here and free even more future troops to fight against Brainiac.
And then for comic fans at home, that was a boom tube that Lex arrived in, is that not?
That's right, it is in fact.
Alright, a little further behind.
Keep fighting. I'm almost into the ship's command systems.
Oh, look at that. Not good. Alright, here we go. We're gonna stay on. Charging infinity bolt. Solid block, get out of the way. There we go.
I guess your section raises a question as to how carefully you have to balance powers versus weapons to make sure they kind of complement each other. Because if you chose badly, you wouldn't be able to get near him, right?
We've done a good job with that. We've done a lot of, I mean, we have the motto around here, proof through play, and so a lot of those bad decisions and those bad trees have been left on the cutting room floor.
That's right.
They've been in there, but we managed to get the entire team plays daily. As, you know, all through production and basically we kind of went live to ourselves about 3 years ago. So, you know, there's still, you know, pretty much any choice you can make, the choices that you want are going to be fun and engaging and also going to, you know, be there for you to get through get through the fight. And again, it's part of it is your skill as well.
Well, and so the weapons provide a lot of the base damage. The reason the superpowers are there is they provide something more. They'll give you damage, but they also knock guys down. They spin them around. They throw them back. They turn them to your side. They do all sorts of different things. And so the superpowers are not just the plain damage. The combos are what builds that damage. You can notice John's hit meter is building every once in a while, and that hit meter is actually helping fuel his power. That's how you get your sort of fight juice back. And the more you do it, you also build supercharge. If you look in John's HUD, well, of course he's putting the loot on. There you go. You can see up under his name there's also an orange bar that sort of wraps around, and that's his supercharge ability, which lets you do super powerful attacks every once in a while. So the more you hit meter, the more you combo, the more power you get back, and the more supercharge you have.
All right, now I get to fight alongside Superman. Let's take him down. All right.
As somebody that's played the beta a little bit, you know, how do you balance making sure that, you know, how do you balance making sure that your cameos don't do all the heavy lifting? Obviously, because Superman could just clear the room himself.
Yeah. Well, we sort of set up a hero's journey here where you start off and you're new at this, right? So, of course, you're going to be sort of the sidekick or the assistant in the beginning episodes of the game. As you go further along, you get to sort of a Robin level, then a Nightwing level, where you're out on your own, but you're going to get into trouble, and so the cameos will come in less frequently to help you out. And eventually, you'll actually save or betray your mentor, right? So as Joker,
you are the villain, right?
Right. I mean, I am the villain. I'm not really going to help Joker out here, I don't think, at the end of the game. But we give you that sort of growth through the story of it. And so they're really there as they would be if this was really happening. If you really gained those powers and they were trying to build this army to fight Brainiac, each of the mentors sort of carries you through this, but ultimately you've got to stand on your own, because at the end of the game, it's not the end of your heroic journey. This is really sort of your Batman Begins segment of the adventure, right? This is where now you know who you are, what you're fighting for or against, and where you're going to go from there is all of the live and expansion content we're going to give you. So while you continue to fight your way out of the Brainiac ship, I'm actually in the villain's safe house here. This is one of the clubs that we have in the game. The villains all go to various nightclubs, and they sort of use those to protect themselves from the law. John will go to a police station. But you can see Catwoman and Two-Face are here. I'm in Burnley in Gotham. I'll also move up here and get a brief tour of the safe house and all of the sort of facilities it has to give me.
Awesome. You can follow instructions. These are the vendors.
And so in MMO terms, this is basically your town, pretty much.
This is. And so for you especially, I know you'll like this. Here we have a League of Assassins operative, just to keep a little bit of the fresh. So you'll see a little bit of the license here and there. And I can go to these vendors and buy all sorts of supplies as well as sell what I need to earn more cash to continue to fund my activities.
And we, of course, have, you know, a couple guys you might recognize over here.
And actually, you can see there is another beta player since we're playing on the live beta servers. It looks like there's more villains than heroes right now, man.
They're always coming in all the time. I have Wade the Man over here.
Welcome to the mailroom. You've got your mailboxes, your Hall of Doom teleporter, your PvP and alert recruiters. You do know how to use a mailbox, right? Good. Because I've sent you a little something-something. Check it out. Then go speak with Triggerman Tony here in the nightclub. You're already on the payroll. Time to get to work.
I got a mail from Oracle. She likes me.
Well, as you can see here, we have the PvP and the alert recruiters. Talia al Ghul runs all of the villains and sends them off to fight heroes. And Black Adam is in a lot of the different alerts and will send people on different missions as well. So these are holographic images because they're actually in the Hall of Doom, which if I were to take this teleporter, I could go shoot out there. The Hall of Doom is a lot like a huge player city. It's where you can bank and all get together, and it's a hub that you can act from. Here I'm going to move out of the safe house, though, because I've been sent to go start on my first mission and talk to Triggerman Tony on Joker's mentor.
And then on the hero line, what's happening over here?
I'm over here talking to Officer Doak, and I'm welcome to the good fight. And so basically, I'm going to be sent out by Batman, and he's going to tell me to go out and take on. Who am I taking on, Chris?
Oh, you're taking on Scarecrow. I hope so. So Scarecrow's gassed the city, but Batman has bigger and better things to do right now. So he's sending you because Scarecrow's escaped from Arkham Asylum, and now it's up to you to try to track him down and put him back in. Now, Joker's telling me that there's a weapons shipment he needs me to sort of babysit through, as well as some cops he needs me to attack and blow up. So you can already see you're doing heroic things, I'm doing villainous things. Both of them are very DC.
And if we were in a PvP server, we might be able to go back and forth and go to toe-to-toe right out of the gate and see who's better or worse. But right now we're not. We're just going to play for story and for fun. Although you can still PvP on those servers.
If you want to flag yourself, yes.
You want to flag yourself, and if you want to play in one of the arenas.
That's right.
Or the Legends PvP.
And so the hero precinct that you just came out of for the police, that is set in a different part of the town where I started with because I chose a different mentor.
Exactly. And so the 6 different paths that you can take all are going to start in different places. The 2 tech ones are going to start in Gotham, of course, and the other the meta and the magic ones are going to start in Metropolis and different segments of Metropolis. And again, these cities, if you look around, you can see we've got like in Gotham there's a blimp, we've got there should be a bat signal. Some comes and goes every now and then, but it feels very much like Gotham. And it's just there is no zoning in here. There is no loading screens. There is basically just run and go out and have fun. And here I am, crawling up a building, and I'll get to get a little altitude here, and then be able to glide around. And as I get closer, Batman will call it out, and so I got to go collect the fear gas activators and defeat the screamers, and kind of clean up the Scarecrow and taking over this part of the city. And you can see now the bat signal's out there, so there you go. And it's on top of the police station. Very much a good Batman moment. There's also little pieces and spaces, dedicated to the history of the 75 years of stories that are in there, and so we have little mementos and little call-outs in the world that you can find, and you also get you get feats for discovering some of those.
That's right. So visiting the Bat Signal or in Crime Alley where Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered, each of those is those little moments, like John had said, just simple things that continue to be touchstones for you in the DC universe. And
this is a shared world. There's thousands of other heroes and villains running around doing their thing, and all in different paths, and you can see people chatting in the chat and talking to each other.
There's no little chalk outlines over in the alley, right?
No, in fact, there's some roses as a memento there.
Yeah.
This exclamation mark here, you want to explain to us how those work?
Sure, those are investigations, and investigations are clues you can find along the way.
That attracted the crowd.
You have a bunch of fans there. Investigations, briefings, and collections are all sort of the little glowies you can find and pick up, and all of them are VO'd, and they actually tell you more about any given thing you're working on. So in John's case, he's actually finding out more files about Dr. Crane, the real identity of the Scarecrow, whereas the ones I'm finding have to do with the various Falcone mobsters. And this is, again, just more of the lore of the DC Universe exposed to players, and each of those gives you more XP and more rewards as you go through the game. So you always want to keep an eye out to make sure you're watching for investigations or briefings that are set up like people like Lois Lane or Vicky Vale. So here I am fighting cops, since they're trying to arrest the Falcone mobsters, and the Joker's hired me to come in and help the Falcones out by beating down the GCPD.
I'm going to go over here and collect fear gas activators. That's what I'm working on while I'm defeating the screamers. And again, it gives you a little bit of an introduction as you see you're going from by yourself trying to figure out get your sea legs under under you basically as you get to learn how to move, to fight, to interact with the world, and then now you're out in the shared world, getting started on your missions and starting to develop your hero, your villain, and basically your story starts and like Chris said, it continues throughout, and your character develops as you go in here. I get more powers, I get more levels, I get more gear, I get more engaged with the storyline and with the community in the world. Got a new power. So go up here. Fortunately, the screamers can't climb the walls.
There's always a safe haven on top of a building.
They're shiny. What are these yellow question marks, Chris?
Those are the collections. So those are more just little bits of pieces of the world here and there that you can combine together to get some pretty nice rewards, including buffs, temporary pets, all sorts of different things. They just sort of things for you to watch out for as you're in the middle of the action.
I'm going to continue this whole ignition tree. I kind of like that. So I'm going to make again to Chris's power interaction. Burning enemies take heavier damage, and then this one is detonate. So if I can have an enemy to explode and knock them back and knock them down, which is kind of nice.
Now, how final are these choices that you're making? Is this like other MMOs where once you're down a path, there really isn't a way, unless you visit like some character in the game or go through some process that allows you to reset, or are you in?
No, you can reset these, and in fact, it's kind of like retconning your own character, I guess, in a way, where you can go back and kind of change those, make those choices, and change those things that you made. You get to do that up in the Watchtower in the Hall of Doom, and there's a certain cost associated with that. So you have to, there's every time you go back, and it does cost a little bit more, and so, but you can go ahead and change those things.
Well, you can change, especially some of them you can change completely, like your weapons, but your powers, you can change the powers within a given type, but you can't change your power type.
Exactly.
Or your movement type.
To do that, you have to make a new character. But yeah, as you get the feat points, right? The feat points are what you get, and then eventually, like, so if you look at the tree here, if I go back to, like, on the skill side, look at the weapons, right now those are all locked out. At a certain level, those will unlock, and then I can invest into those specific trees, and if I find a bow, or earn a bow, or get a bow in the world, or trade for one with another player, then I can then use those combos and equip that bow. And so there is some variety with the weapon side, but like Chris said, if I wanted to change out from my firepower, I'd have to go back and re-roll. But if I did want to go back and change my choices within immolation or ignition or the iconic powers, then I can go back and get a reset on that.
So I've actually chosen the mental powers, and I have some of my illusionary abilities now that I've hit level 4. So that ability, while it doesn't appear to have done anything, it actually makes me look like a hero. So now heroes will think I'm friendly, so I can sneak up on them and stab them horribly. Because of course that's what we want to do. Here, I can turn into just normal Joe citizen, and I can blend in with the surroundings. Again, this is a form of stealth, so people can sometimes see through it and see that it's actually me. But as you can see, I can now move freely through the cops and then get up on them and make sure to actually take them out. Or, if I have it, I can also turn into a scientist, because what would be more innocent than just a guy in a lab coat walking around? Excuse me, officer. Maybe you can help me. Now you notice I have special attacks I can also do from this form, one of which is a mental stun. So now he's essentially sapped. He's there, he's at my will, and I can come up here and help out the Falcone leg breaker.
And as you can see, if you apply that to Chris's favorite servers, the PvP servers, you can have a lot of fun kind of sneaking up on your opponents and rendering them, bound and tied up.
So juggling opponents, also a very classic action game mechanic, are a big part of this game because it gives you a lot of crowd control, a lot of free damage on guys, and of course you're a hero beating up on cops, or a villain in this case, so why not? Here I'm trying to bribe the rookies. Let's see what they have to say. How much did you say? Come on, rookie, take the payoff. Ah, he did, good. Sometimes you have to beat them down because they won't.
Yeah, which is great. I didn't know that at first, and so I'm running around, I'm like, why won't you? Oh, you're going to have a conscience.
Now, of course, I knocked the last guy out, but I can also just do an alpha strike and attack him and just take him out in one shot. So that stealth form is very helpful.
So now that I've collected some of these activators, my next step here is now I got to stop the gang from setting up the gas foggers. So obviously, if you look around here, you can see over in the Scarecrow area, the gas is starting to seep in and kind of move in. If you go fly up, and I'll do that in a second, you can see right there, how it's kind of like moving in. And so I got to go down and stop that. And so what's nice is that there's different areas of the world that these different events are happening, and you can go and see their effect that they're having on the people and the citizens of Gotham or Metropolis.
And one thing to point out is, as you're completing these quests, you sort of get credit for it en route, so you're not necessarily having to go to the quest giver, and then kind of turn it in and get your stuff and move on.
Yeah, right, you're kind of being dispatched, and you're kind of going back and communicating, which is great. And there are some side quests, I guess, that you go back and forth. But the general thing is we want you to move forward with the story. You're a hero, and there's a big war at hand. And
well, the whole game is based on episodes, right? So I'm playing an episode, and John's playing an episode. Each episode has about 2/3 shared world and 1/3 instance, and it's all circling around a story. John is fighting Scarecrow and fighting his way, not just through some Scarecrow guys standing around, but sort of tracking down where the Scarecrow's lair is and the source of the gas attacks. I'm protecting the Falcone mobsters and hopefully finding the weapon shipments, which Joker ultimately wants me to steal. At the end of those, there's a boss fight and a comic cutscene that deals with that entire episode. So it's almost like you're playing through your own issue of the comic book where your hero or villain is the central figure.
And it feels that way because it feels like it's building up to something at the end.
All right, folks, so this is basically what you can expect when you first start the game. So this is, what's kind of the payoff after once you first start the game? What's the next big thing? Is there some kind of epic boss fight after you kind of run through through these early paces? What can folks expect?
Well, there's dozens of episodes each time, and of course you're going to want to make both a hero and a villain to see all of the stories because there's content that's exclusive to those, as well as the mentors. They drive their own stories. So each episode introduces you further and further into the DC universe. You gain more powers, more skill, more equipment, until finally you're invited to be a member of the JLA or grudgingly accepted into the society. And that's where the real story begins. And the end game happens, where you can play against other players, you can raid, you can go on alerts, which are sort of like co-op for your MMO, or you can even use the Legends system to fight as Batman or as Robin against other players in a PvP system where you use the Iconic. So this is only the sort of the start of it that introduces you to the entirety of the game.
All right, now, as you've seen, there's quite a bit to do, whether you feel like being good or evil, at the start of the game. But now, Chris, you have something special for the folks at home. Do you want to set that up?
That's right. Level 18, Poison Ivy. You know her, you love her, but now you get a fighter, right? You got to go into the greenhouse in the Botanical Gardens and face off against her, and it's going to take all your skills to take this girl down. So,
now, before we check it out, she is, I guess, a pretty good example of just some of the higher level content. Do you want to tease some of the rest of it?
Well, I mean, the game is about fighting alongside and against all these iconic heroes and villains, and so every level you're fighting one of these bosses, right? You're getting into the license, you're being your own hero or villain, doing that. So this is just one of those sort of stair steps along the way. I mean, you're going to fight Scarecrow, you're going to fight Mr. Freeze, you're going to fight Gorilla Grodd, Poison Ivy. I mean, just everybody in the DC universe. 85 different characters that are in there, and you're fighting with them or against them. So it's the universe right there for you.
All right, well, let's check that out.
So I've been asked by Batman to go and track down Poison Ivy, who's also escaped from Arkham. She, Mr. Freeze, and Scarecrow are actually all escaped, and once you've put them all back, they actually turn into a raid in the game, but I have to actually do that first. So let's see what Calculator has to tell me about it. I gotta get into the Botanical Gardens and stop her.
I believe that's Oracle.
Yep, Oracle's letting me know what to do. All right.
Don't let anything you see inside that greenhouse stop you. Knowing Poison Ivy, she's kept Robin and Harvey alive as slaves. Free them from Ivy's influence, and they can help you take her down, so she can serve her time at Arkham.
So he's got Robin, she's got Robin, and she has Detective Bullock in there. Robin, of course, needing to be saved once more. All right, so here we are inside the Botanical Gardens, trying to find Poison Ivy and stop her from whatever she's doing to poor Robin. All sorts of seed pods and plants around.
Which are probably best avoided.
Well, I'm just guessing that with Poison Ivy, what could possibly go wrong? Here you can see Harvey Bullock's being attacked by, it looks like a rather large plant. So I'll get in there and help him out. Now Harvey, thanks for the help there with your pistol. So make sure to help me too much there, man.
Since you are Blue Heat, I'm assuming you do have fire powers.
I do have fire powers. I'm a dual-wield firepower acrobat. Here, though, I'm also a martial artist, so I can try out some of the combos that go with them. And I have far more abilities since I'm level 18. You can see I just summoned a huge fiery boulder to smash on the guy, which I can run over. And trying to avoid his attacks, actually pick up and then use as a weapon against him.
Nicely done.
I gotta be careful because if I let Harvey die, then, of course, Batman's not gonna be too happy. He does like his police sidekicks. Ancient Bloodroot goes down. Oh, looks like he's got some little brothers coming.
And so at this point, we're basically in an instance, yeah?
Yeah, so this is an instance, but you can come in here with your friends. It's not locked out or anything. It just happens to be, oh, look, I dropped a little fireball on that poor plant. It just is set apart so that you can have a really quality experience and fight.
In a typically brilliant move, the GCPD went in after Ivy. Oh, those plants of hers. They're not human, if you know what I mean. I think
The GCPD went in after them, so I have to watch out for the captured members of the GCPD, as well as all of the various minions that Ivy has summoned up to serve her.
And that's not a cameo from Swamp Thing, right?
No, actually, those are different types of plant creatures that she's formed and that she's using to sort of keep control of this area. And in fact, some of the citizens themselves have been taken over by her pheromones, and these thorn citizens have gained new superpowers. Now, let me work my way in deeper. Here you can see it looks like more of the plants doing their thing. Gallows Oaks. But again, I have firepower, so it's probably the most appropriate for actually fighting against anybody as a victim. If I jump over here, you can see it looks like there's an entombed member of the GCPD. Let me let him out, and hopefully he can help me out here. Or at least I did my heroic duty for the day and saved him.
Now, this particular quest, this is something that you could do with friends?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be easier because we don't actually scale it. We want to make sure that the adventure's tuned for you when you're doing it by yourself. But you can invite any of your friends along, or maybe if you invite a friend to the game, you can make it easier for them by jumping in and helping them out. It also starts to teach you sort of the group play and the multiplayer part. I got to watch out because those mandrakes actually have special attacks, and if I don't have the energy to break out, like I didn't this time, you can see I actually can get myself into a world of hurt.
Possibly dead, looks like.
Yeah, this is going to look like some possibly dead. Luckily, I was able to pop a soda cola in time. And my cop buddies are helping me out. Those guys I freed are actually engaging the enemies and giving me a chance to take a little break, recover some health.
Now, are these actually folks that are going to be following you through the instance helping?
They'll do it for a time here because I happen to free them close by. Oh, this is not looking good, folks. Let me break out, get away, and let the police help them out a little bit because I'm in a world of hurt and my soda cola is on cooldown. So our death penalty, let's talk about that.
Sure, what happens when you die?
When you get knocked out, there's a time penalty before you can recover. You also take a little bit of gear damage, but uniquely to us, much like an action game, any of your friends can pop you back up. So if you go down, your friend can just help and just come over, interact with you, and get you back on your feet so that you guys can just keep going. We don't really do the resurrection. Instead, it's more of the superhero bound back and get going. So again, moving through the sewers and hopefully more successfully this time. Since I don't have any demo help and I'm playing just like a character would, I'm level 18, the content's 18, so here we go. All right, dealt it down. Looks like those. Let me free a few more cops just in case.
You know, you do always need some decoys.
Oh, that's what, you know, the GCPD is especially good for that. Uh-oh, don't tell Batman I said that for sure. Oh, this looks good. All right.
Now, even though you guys are drawing on a lot of DC lore, some of this stuff clearly not seen in comics
Not
before.
typical.
Yes. So how did you guys go about balancing stuff that looked cool, that played well, with stuff that wasn't going to make DC freak out?
Well, luckily Jim Lee is our executive creative director, and was a hardcore MMO player back in the day. So he knows a lot about what it takes to have these games, but more importantly, he knows what it's going to take to make sure the DC story is legit. So he got Marv Wolfman and Jeff Johns involved, and they all sort of helped us make sure that we stayed on track with the story. And when we added things that we needed to, we still stayed loyal to what actually the fans expect. So yes, every once in a while we have to create a critter here or there, sort of pump up a faction to make sure it serves what goes on. But really it's all in the service of the real DC stories and making sure you really feel like you're in the universe. All right, Poison Ivy has Robin enthralled there, so I'm gonna see what's up.
Robin, my darling, take care of this pesky little worm before it takes over my beautiful
So unfortunately, it looks like this Poison Ivy boss fight has turned into a Robin boss fight.
Well,
the voice of Robin, though, is Willie.
it is a Poison Ivy boss fight too, but as you know, Poison Ivy doesn't necessarily go fisticuffs most of the time. She controls people or uses the environment around her. So I'm gonna juggle Robin around and make sure that the Boy Wonder gets a bit of Texas-style barbecue going on here with my fire abilities.
And I guess it's bad form to just go beat her up.
Well,
first.
He's actually mind-controlled, and so in this case, I've got to stop him or he's going to be the main threat to what's going on. Oops, now it looks like she's summoned some more of those tree guys to come and take me out, so... And she'll throw her own attacks at me as I'm in here. I gotta be careful, because the last time I did this, it didn't work out so well for me. Oh man, this is not good. Oh no. So I'm gonna actually escape from Robin for a little bit and climb up a wall. Oh no, he's got grounding abilities.
Which is a very heroic thing to do.
You like the amount of heroics I've got going on here?
There's a healing barrel.
I know, I was looking for one that I can get. Aha. So luckily I can use the environment and hopefully it'll help me fight Robin here a little bit. Nice, thank you, Robin. So Robin's deciding to stun me up with his staff abilities. Luckily we're fighting in the aura of that healing barrel, so I'll have a little bit more of an advantage than I would otherwise.
He also seems to have made a remarkable recovery from the beatdown you just gave him.
Well, you know, he's got Ivy on his side and she is able to heal him and make sure everything goes her way. Uh-oh, this is not looking good for me.
Such a disappointment. As always.
Have you guys talked about who the voice of Poison Ivy is yet?
No, we haven't gone through all of the characters. Some of them are more notable than others. Some of them are local talent here. So we really sort of, took it from the spectrum of the voice talent that's out there. This does not look good.
This doesn't look like it's going to end well for you at all.
No, I have a feeling this demo may be a little brief, but aha, healing barrel. Oh no, I popped it in the air. That's not good. Here, let me go over here and hide. I'll block his basic attacks. See what's going on here. Pop a potion. It looks like those healing changes made it to beta. Nice. Be a little bit more difficult. I'll have to dodge out of the way of his attacks. And now she's summoned even more little minions to help out. So this is the healing barrel fight right now for me. This is not looking good.
It will be a triumph of the human spirit if you pull this off.
Well,
though we do appreciate the effort.
Right now I'm going to continue to run away from this guy as I see if I can get enough space. Now that's where a lot of these things are challenging. You're going to take quite a bit of skill. Coming in here, not having practiced this fight in a bit, I've got to watch out for it as he continues to huck rocks at me from every single direction.
Now, does your health regenerate?
It doesn't regenerate in combat, but what I'm waiting for is to hopefully get... Oh, I know what the problem is. So don't make this mistake in beta, folks. I actually loaded out energy drinks instead of health drinks.
Interesting.
Interesting choice, which ultimately is going to lead to my demise, I have a feeling.
That's what happens when the villain tries to play the
That's really the problem I have, actually. So, as you can imagine, if you get into beta, you might be able to beat him, but I have a feeling this is going to be the end of my heroic journey here pretty fast.
I think this was a really good sneak preview of what not to do.
There you go.
We're very happy to bring that to everybody. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming out, and I can't wait to see you guys online.
All right, well, there you go. We hope you guys have liked your pretty extensive look at DC Universe Online, which is coming out soon. Obviously, big question for the folks at home that have now seen this and are interested.
Yeah.
When is this coming home?
It's coming out first quarter of 2011. We're in beta. We're getting there. Get into beta. Come try it out. Get to play it.
So thank you very much, Chris.
All right.
And hope you enjoyed this look at DC Universe Online. Come back tomorrow. We're going to have even more on some of the big games of 2011.